A company advertised a process that was 100% online, private, and secure. Its own website said your medical records and sensitive information were only accessed by the medical providers managing your care. On July 29, 2026, the FTC, California, and Utah filed 48 pages in federal court alleging otherwise, and nowhere in that public filing does one word appear: HIPAA. Health Tech Frontier. Start with what HIMSS actually is, because it matters for everything that follows. HIMSS sells prescription treatments directly to consumers: sexual health, hair loss, skin, mental health, weight loss. But by the complaint's own description, HIMSS is not a pharmacy. It either owns or contracts with pharmacies to fill and ship, and it is not a medical provider. It contracts with doctors and nurse practitioners. HIMSS is the intermediary in the middle, and you can only reach those providers through HIMSS. Everything starts with what the filing calls the intake flow, and it has 4 parts. First, 5 to 15 questions about what you're looking for. Second, you create an account. Third, and this is the part that matters, a medical assessment of between 25 and 50 questions about your medical history. Fourth, a series of screens showing a treatment a provider may prescribe, its price, and its refill schedule, where you enter your billing and shipping details and submit it for a provider's review. Now, the promises. Until at least late August 2023, the HIMSS homepage asked its own question: how does HIMSS ensure patient privacy? And answered that your medical records and sensitive information are only accessed by the medical providers managing your care. Its online ads promised a 100% online, private, and secure process. HIMSS paid influencers and, the complaint says, reviewed, edited, and gave final approval to their ads. Some of those posts called HIMSS discreet. On TV, radio, and podcasts, totally private. 4 channels, 1 message. The complaint alleges that despite those promises, HIMSS shared consumers' health information with advertising platforms, Meta and Snap among them. One mechanism was direct. The filing says that just as with Meta, HIMSS uploaded lists to Snap to match those users to their Snapchat accounts. And here is the part worth saying out loud. The words describing what was on those lists are blacked out in the public filing. Redacted. So we won't fill them in. And neither should anyone else. The second mechanism is the one worth understanding because the filing names 13 more advertising platforms whose pixels sat on that same site. This technology belongs to no one company. It's called a pixel. A pixel is a small piece of code a company embeds in its own website. When you use the site, that code reports your actions. The filing calls them events, back to the advertising platform. Meta had 2 such tools, the Meta Pixel and the Conversions API, which the complaint describes as a direct connection between the advertiser's server, website, app, or other internal software and Meta's systems. And what the filing alleges traveled that way was consumers' health information. That's Act 1. Act 2 is the money. At the end of the intake flow, the button read, "Pay $0 today," and the screen reassured you, you won't be charged until prescribed. But the complaint alleges that in most states, those that don't require a live telehealth visit, providers regularly and unilaterally prescribed without offering any consultation at all, and HIMSS charged immediately and enrolled the consumer in a subscription. Most consumers, it alleges, were charged and subscribed before they ever learned what had been recommended. The disclosure that you were buying an automatically renewing subscription? Small, low-contrast type below the button, and the first refill was routinely charged 10 days before the schedule you picked, and to avoid that charge, you had to cancel 2 days before it landed. Then try to cancel. On the subscription page, the complaint says the word cancel appeared nowhere. You had to guess that a button labeled add/remove items from order was the way out. The next page told you any changes would apply going forward. The word cancellation didn't appear there either. And even after finally clicking cancel subscription, you weren't done. approximately 3 to 10 more survey questions, each on its own screen, asking about side effects, cost, or a retention offer. Here's the finding that lands hardest. In June 2022, HIMSS built a simple, single-click cancel button in California and Colorado. For the other states, it rolled out the prior California flow, the version the complaint says it had refined to successfully obstruct cancellations. So look at what this case is actually built on. The FTC Act, ROSCA, the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, California's Unfair Competition and False Advertising Laws, Utah's Consumer Sales Practices Act, Consumer Protection Law top to bottom, not health privacy law. Nowhere in the public filing does the word HIPAA appear. And the filing notes that back in October 2023, the FTC had already issued a civil investigative demand over HIMSS's subscription enrollment and cancellation practices. None of this is proven. It's a complaint, and the case hasn't been heard. But the test outlives the verdict. Before you hand over a health history, read the button, not the headline, and find the cancel path before you pay. This has been Health Tech Frontier. Subscribe for the next chapter.